Hey watchers, welcome back to the channel. Today I have this piece courtesy of Pagani Design. Now I unboxed this on Facebook and I wish this was indeed car keys to my new Zonda, but it's not. This is actually nothing to do with Pagani supercars, but you know, they've kind of taken a leaf out of Porsche design, I think. So, you know, here we go. This is the box. I've done Pagani design before, and this is different to the previous boxes where it was a little bit of a flip top. This one has a bit of a matte finish with gilt for the name there, so I think it's a little bit better. I think it's a little bit more of a classy touch there, so they've changed that up. So let's just show you what's inside here. A bit of a, you know, microfiber cloth, as you might typically see. Very simple tag, nothing too much to shout about. And I just want to show you a bit of the manuals here. International warranty, so go figure, can you actually use this anywhere in the world? Not even sure you can use this in China, but anyway, there it is. Pagani Design uses manual, just to quickly show you guys. All right, so this is the details of the international warranty. So one thing I noted here is this: all Pagani Design quartz mechanical watches equipped with high quality import movements. I wonder where they think they import from. I guess you import it interstate within China. That's interesting to hear. And then, you know, basic functions. These are quartz, I'm pretty sure. And this is the mechanical part here. All right, just that you, hopefully you can read that if you pause it. I'm not going to go through all that, of course. And then the next part here, which is advice for use. Okay, and then down here, the bottom right here, it says, do not try to open the watch case or dismantle it. Too bad I didn't read that earlier because I have already done so. Okay, so that's the manual, and let's just show you the watch now in a little bit of detail. So open this up and here we are. So guys, this is the Pagani Design 1627M-1, so one version for this kind of steel case with faux patina kind of indices and hands. I call this the Pagani Design Avenger Seawolf because this is kind of the one that is closest to the Breitling Avenger Seawolf, but it's kind of a cross between the Blackbird and the Seawolf because this size is more the Blackbird size. The Seawolf, I believe, comes in more like 45mm rather than the 48 that this massive watch is. Okay, so let's just go into the movement a little here. So let's just show you the movement here. So in here is actually a Sea-Gull ST6D. That's what I've identified it to be. I'm not entirely sure. Very difficult to find whether this is a copy or an original Sea-Gull. I think it's an original one, or at least that's what information from certain sources seem to suggest. All the specs down the left of the screen there, and you can see that I actually don't know what the rated accuracy is meant to be. I can't find that published anywhere. In use, this has been shockingly unregulated. It was running, you know, more than 3 seconds fast a day, but I did open this up and regulate it myself using my time grapher app, and I've gotten it to about -5 seconds per day, which is tolerable to me with a beat error of around 1 millisecond. So not fantastic, but you know, that's what I can put up with. It's -5 seconds per day now. And I'll put the pictures up of the open case back here. You can see it's actually a screw down case back. I thought it's actually a push friction, but no, it's actually a screw down case back. I just used a friction cloth, a kind of rubber friction mat to open it. Okay, so that's really the movement of this watch here. It does have a quick set date and hacking, and I'll just want to show you something about the date here, implemented at 3 o'clock position, you know, that white disc with black writing. It's pretty cool. I like the character of some of the dates that they have. So let's just see, for example, right, the 6, right, it's kind of taking a leaf out of Panerai. You know, Panerai kind of do the 6s like that. And, you know, the 9 kind of taking that same, you know, squiggly kind of look there. Right, that's kind of cool, you know, I quite like that. And let's go all the way down to the 6 again. So I like the look of some of the fonts that they've used for the date numbers there. And then it's got a proper screw down crown with this Nice textured grip there, and signage on the crown. All right, let's just talk about the case now. So I mentioned before, 48 millimeters in diameter, so pretty massive. It is 15 millimeters thick, so a full 15 millimeters thick up to the rider tab there. If you don't take that rider tab, it's I think 14 point something. The lug width here is pretty massive at 24 millimeters with a lug to lug distance, which again, for this size, you might expect it to be massive, and it is. It's actually 58 millimeters between my thumbs there. So very big watch by just about anyone's measure, I would think. It's on this kind of faux leather or suede type of strap, and overall weight is not that heavy because of that. It's 122 grams on the wrist, so fairly comfortable despite its size in terms of the overall weight. Moving on to finishing, this is fully brushed. So the top of the bezel here is radial brushing. I'm not sure if that's going to translate, but there's radial brushing on the top of the bezel there. It transitions onto a vertical brush on the side surface of the bezel, and then it's mostly longitudinal on the case. So that's longitudinal brushing on the tops of the lugs there, transitioning onto, again, longitudinal brushing, so going across like that on the case side here, so both the crown side and the non-crown side. And on the bottom, it's kind of interesting. So you can see, hopefully this again translates. There's a bit of transverse brushing on the side of the case, but it actually is longitudinal on this part of the case. So it transitions from transverse to longitudinal. I've never seen that done before. It's very difficult to do that, I think, because you're going to get clashes between the lines here. But this is what they've implemented on this watch here. Okay, so that's the finishing. The case back itself, as you can see, is polished. And it is a screw down case back, as I've explained. It's a display case back showing that movement, which unfortunately is actually, of course, going to look small in such an oversized watch, right? That is really a small looking movement, and you saw that on the picture of the open case here. With that screw down sign crown, surprisingly, they've only gone for 30 meters on the water rating, and that's probably because they haven't put in the proper gaskets needed. It does have a rubber seal around this, this screw down case back, but surprisingly, without I think proper gaskets, they've only just rated it at 30 meters. This case, I feel, just with the proper seals, you can easily make this 100 or more meters in terms of water rating. But that's what they've provided. All right, guys, let's move on to the dial now. So this is a matte black dial with simple printing applied, polished indices, and dual chapter rings. So there's a chapter ring that's printed around the periphery of the dial, just outside the hour indices, but there's also a second chapter ring marking on the flange or the rehaut, and on that one you can see it's marked with 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes or seconds around the side there. All right, so this is a little bit more detail there. The hands themselves are simple baton hands, which in this case are done in kind of a gunmetal, I want to say, that it's not quite entirely black. The lume on this watch, unfortunately, is only on the 3 hands. There is no lume on any of the indices. There is, however, a lume on the bezel pit there, that big bezel pit. And I'll put a lume shot here of how it looks like in the dark. That's a bit unfortunate because the earlier Pagani designed Blackbird that I did have lume on the indices. I'm not sure why they kind of cheaped out on not putting lume on all the indices here. But there we have it. That's what they've gone for in this watch. Okay, surrounding the dial is a 90-click unidirectional steel bezel with etched numerals. So I'll just show you the numerals here. They're nicely etched. Of course, not quite as sharp as the real Breitling will be, but they've kind of gone for that copied look here. And they've gone for rider tabs, and interestingly, that medial ring here. So there's a ring of steel between the glass and the actual numbered part of the bezel. That actually stays still. So there's a nice touch. That's kind of Omega Planet Ocean type of feel there. And also, of course, the real Breitling. And I'll just show you the 90 clicks now. 10. 10. 22, 23 roughly to a quarter. So it's actually a 90 click bezel. It's not 120 and it's not 60. So, you know, that's a little bit of a difference there and something to take note if you're seriously considering this watch. And if you mine 90 clicks, you've got to beware of that. On top of that is a domed glass, and it's domed mineral glass. There is a bit of a blue hue there or shade there. Hopefully that, I don't know if I can show you that blueness there. I think they're going for an anti-reflective simulation look because that's what Breitling anti-reflective coatings look like. But this one doesn't, I don't think it has real anti-reflective coating. You can see I'm catching a lot of reflections here around the room as I pan this. So it hasn't really functioned in a very anti-reflective way at all. All right, so that's the case. Just showing you this suede style stitched genuine leather. So yep, genuine leather, Pagani design with a black lining. So I gotta say, this is actually not bad. It's actually, I prefer something like this in terms of the feel and apparent quality to a lot of, for example, Spinnaker leather. This one actually isn't too bad. It's got a brushed steel buckle with the Pagani logo right there. Okay, so that's the description of the watch. Let's just put it on for a wrist shot for you guys now. And there we have it, the Pagani design Avenger Seawolf, so model 1627M on my 17 centimeter wrist. I can't get this to look any smaller than that. This is a large watch for sure for me, 15 millimeter stick there. And, you know, technically speaking, and I guess aesthetically speaking, I think most people will say this is too large for my size wrist. You probably need to have, you know, 7.5 inch wrist to carry this well, I would think, but that's how it looks like on my wrist. Okay guys, so that's the watch there. What have I enjoyed about this particular piece? Well, I think honestly it's actually a rather impressive package at the retail price of around $70. So this is, you know, when I asked for this watch, it was selling for about 65 USD. I think the MSRP is around $100, but nobody really knows. Realistically, you're going to pay about 65, 70 for this package. And, you know, it's not bad for that. So it's a very solid case. The case actually does feel very solid. They don't exactly stipulate whether it's 316L steel, but it does feel like that. It doesn't feel like, 304 steel or one of the cheaper variants of steel that you sometimes find in Chinese watches. The finishing is not bad. No major complaints about the finishing. There's a bit of roughness when it transitions from transverse to longitudinal there, but other than that, it's not bad. You know, they've gone for the blue hue on the glass there, so a little bit of touch there for aesthetics, and it's got a seagull movement, or presumably a real seagull movement, which hopefully will prove to be reliable in the longer term. And wasn't very well regulated, but you know, you can regulate something like this yourself without too much trouble. And the strap, I'll say, not bad. I don't mind this strap. You know, it's something that surprisingly I haven't worn this and say this is crap. This is actually not too bad a strap, quite comfortable and feels quite nice actually. The weaknesses, the things to keep in mind, this is one of the largest diameter steel watches I have ever reviewed. So you're gonna have to need a big wrist to carry this, in a nice style, in the proper sense. You know, it's too big for me, I think. I can use this in casual situations. It does look too big in most other situations, especially if I'm gonna, wear a work shirt. And I would say the loom is unfortunately poor, and not just poor, it is actually incomplete. Who knows why they didn't put loom on those indices when it looks like they should all have loom. Maybe it's just the product didn't even glow, but it doesn't glow at all. It's just the three hands and the bezel pip that have loom. And then the bezel action, not the best. It does have backplay. Okay, you can see I'm just pushing it that way and you can see this backplay there. So not the strongest bezel action, but hey, it's a $65 watch. So guys, there you go. That's my review of this Pagani design. Let me know what you think, particularly if you have this model or any of the Pagani design watches. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. New content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.